Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another review? There's another paid request, this time for Bryan. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos or topics, reactions, reviews, commentaries, whatever it may be, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box. And this time, he wanted me to talk about the Butterfly Effect 3. Maybe I have the poster over there, but this is another one. Revelations. Now, this one I had seen before. It's directed by Seth Grossman, stars Chris Carmack and Rachel Miner. It was one of those films that was part of that After Dark, A Films to Die For, that type of stuff, which lasted quite a few years, but to be honest, there were not a lot of great movies from that series of flicks. Each year, like, the majority of them would be either mediocre or forgettable or crappy. But the two I remember standing out to me, one was The Deaths of Ian Stone, and that's because that has a really interesting idea about a guy who he keeps waking up, something's chasing him, he dies, but when he dies, he wakes up in like a new life. And then something else is chasing him, then he dies, and he wakes up in a new life, and he's wondering what the hell's going on. And while the effects were not up to par, and I wish they were a lot more polished, maybe with a bigger budget, it was a very interesting idea, and it was a really cool story. I really liked The Deaths of Ian Stone. And the other one that I remember impressing me was actually this, The Butterfly Effect 3. Because I remember going, that was when I worked at a video store, and because I worked at a video store, I could rent movies for free. That was part of one of the perks of it. And obviously the idea is that if you can rent it for free, so you can watch it, and then when a customer comes up and asks you about the film, you'll know about it. So I would rent a lot of those After Dark horror films, and a lot of them were just like this, with your hand, and you're ready to push your chin up through your brain. But this one, and watch it again, it held up. I rather liked this film, and I still do. It does have its plot holes, because anytime you deal with time travel or anything with time, there's always going to be holes in the plot that you like. I mean, that happens with anything dealing with time travel. I don't know if there's a film that has no plot holes when it deals with time travel. And I do wish it had a bit of a bigger budget. Maybe a bit more polish in the visuals. Sometimes when a death scene happens, it's a little bit too shaky. Like, death will happen and the camera will be like this. I don't like that. But what I do like is I thought the story was interesting, and I thought the two leads did a fairly good job in the cast. And that makes up for a lot of its little flaws and nitpicks I have with it. And I like the first Butterfly Effect. I think that's Ashton Kutcher's best performance. It does have polish because it was a theatrical film. I thought it was a very good... I did, like a lot of time, you could see plot holes, but I thought that was a very emotional story. Very ballsy story, too. Like, if you watch the first Butterfly Effect, it's dealing with a guy who's been through trauma. I mean, his dad tried to kill him, and you find out why that was the case. Because going back, the plot of that story is the love of his life died. He wants to go back to fix it. He's able to look at photographs or other parts and kind of zap himself to a younger self from the past, change things, but when you change things, there's a butterfly effect, there's repercussions that you can't see coming. You're like, how did that happen? Well, yeah, that's the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect meaning if a butterfly flaps its wings in a different time than it was supposed to, as minute as that can be, somehow there could be some effect where a species is extinct. They may be confusing, you know what, but I mean, that's kind of the point of the butterfly effect. Something that minute could affect something, and you have no idea how, but that's the danger of changing things in the past, is that you don't know how the hell things, because if one thing changes, then a million things can change. Like I said, it's an interesting concept, and in the first film, I thought it was, like I said, a very emotional story that deals with animals that get killed, and not in real life, thankfully, but uh, there's child abuse, or some sick guy played by Eric Stoltz that films child pornography, and then when he jumps back to his younger self, he's able to challenge the guy and scare the shit out of him. It's a very dark story, and also depends which ending you see. Anyway, I'm talking more about. But the first one I think is a rather good film. The second film is a worthless, shitty remake of the first one. Ain't worth a spit. This one, I like that they went in a different direction, which is a murder mystery. It's a murder mystery, and they change a bit of the rules of the first Butterfly Effect. It's not the same rules, but I was fine with that, because if this is a different person, maybe he has this gift, but it works a different way. So I was fine with that. And it also helped make it a bit different compared to the first. I mean, think about it. A sequel that has kind of a same basis, changes stuff in the past and affects the future, but it still became its own story. Chris Carmack plays Sam, a guy who can go back, and with the help of his sister, he'll get into a bathtub, he'll cool himself down, and he will see into the past and look at events. For example, he sees this woman get her head bashed in, pretty brutal, and when he goes back to the present, he's able to contact the cops and say he's a psychic, and he's worked with the cops before, and says, this is who it is, this is where you need to go. And one cop's like, oh, this is bullshit. The other cop is, hey, this guy helped us with 20 cases. But he does not physically help. And you think, well, wait a minute, why doesn't he physically help this woman getting her head bashed in and this little kid watching? Well, because, and I like that the story actually does explain that, his sister had originally died in a fire. He went back to save her, but going back to save her led to both parents getting killed. And there's this other guy, I don't want to get his name, Douglas was the character's name, or maybe it wasn't Douglas, it was Goldberg. Completely different. Kevin Yan as Goldberg, he's saying, he knows a bit of what's going on too, and he goes, hey, remember, don't get involved, don't change things. Again, yeah, you saved one person, but also two other people died. Your sister lived, but two other. So that's why he doesn't change things. His fear of he could make things worse without knowing it. And it's understandable when they have that backstory. So by this point, this character Sam, I thought Chris Carmack did a good job, because I thought throughout the film he showed a bit more of the intensity of, things are going out of control and he wants to fix it, and there's times he's breaking down, and he's talking to his sisters like, I can't fix anything, I can't do anything right, I don't know what's going on. Or he's in jail and he's trying to talk to the cop and he tells something to him so that the cop will believe him, and you see he's desperation. That's the thing, you see the character get more and more desperate, and for a guy, Chris Carmack, I don't know what else he's done. He was on Grey's Anatomy. He was in the OC. I did Into the Blue 2. Oh, he was in Shark Night. Yes, he was on an episode of CSI Miami. A lot of episode of TV. I thought he did a fairly good job, and I also thought the sister, Rachel Miner, did a good job as well as Jenna. And so, by this point in his life, his former girlfriend had been murdered, and the girlfriend's sister comes by, asked her for help, said, "Hey, do you know any information about this?" And he doesn't want to get involved, and then ultimately he does, but he starts trying to help. And then by trying to help, things ricochet, and things where now more and more people die. He's like, I can fix this, and he goes back. And again, it becomes an investigation movie. It becomes a murder investigation, a murder mystery. Some people may guess the murderer very quickly. I remember the first time I saw this, I did it, and maybe, I felt like an idiot. And then when I find out the reason why, I went, wow, that's fucked up. But that's kind of weird. Well, it is weird. It's especially weird, but it's also interesting. Because I'm like, I didn't expect it. I remember, number one, feeling like I just thought, wow, I thought it was an interesting twist. I thought it was an interesting twist, and like I said, I kind of got into the murder mystery. And there's a couple alright scenes of gore. There's a couple gory aftermaths. There's one point where a character gets their fingers cut off. First these 4, then the other 4 during an attack. Granted, it's a bit too much this, which I don't care for. But yeah, I thought it got me interested to see, like, again, this character doing the best he can, and then when he comes back into... And that's the thing, it is different from the Butterfly Effect one, because that one... Well, no, that's not the case. I would say his not only time, but his space changes, but that actually did happen to Butterfly Effect 1 as well, where he would come forward through time, and then he's a different spot. Like, the Butterfly Effect 1, I would say, is better. I think number 1 is more polished, and number 2 is more of a strong, emotional story. This, though, like I said, I like the investigation angle. I thought that was a very interesting take. And I don't want to give away too much. Like I said, I do wish this had a bit more of a budget, so that there was more polish in the... Maybe adding like some chase sequences or other sequences. Some action. I don't know how to go into this without spoilers. For Butterfly Effect 3, I think it was much better than it has any right to. I'll put it that way. For an After Dark Horrorfest film, for a film that's a Butterfly Effect 3, I thought, you know what, this is actually kind of decent. I mean, just a 5.6 in IMDb, that's a lot higher than you would think compared to how IMDb works and how I these feel. Like I said, it's better than you'd think. I think it's actually a tad... I don't think it's a gem, but it's a tad underrated. Because you look at the title, Butterfly Effect 3, I'm like, you know what, this... It's kind of like White Noise 2. Like, White Noise 2 is better than White Noise 1, and it's a little bit better than you would think. Again, just, you wish you had more polish because you wish you had a bigger budget theatrical production, but... I don't get into spoilers starting now. Because, like, during his investigation, like, he goes to a victim, and he's hiding in a closet, and you think, oh my god, this killer's attacking her, and if he gets involved, will he make things worse, or will he not? But before he decides something, you find out that the attacker is the girl's husband, and doing a rape fetish that she wanted. It's like, what the hell? And, like, the guy's ready to leave, but then he opens the closet, and the guy's in there. What the fuck are you doing here? No, I'm not a pervert. You think I'm a pervert? And then he gets punched, and then he gets snapped back, and then things are worse. Where that person didn't die, but then some other people died. And it's like, each time when he comes back, he is poor. He even loses his couch. He loses his car. Like, you see the ramifications, even his own life being affected, where he was being successful and his sister was living with him. But then now, as the story goes, now they're switched. Now the sister is successful and he's living on the couch. And the twist, I'll say the twist, again, spoilers, heavy spoilers. You find out the twist is the killer is the sister. And that's what I meant. I felt like an idiot because I'll think, well, who else could it be? It's someone who knows what's going on, who knows that he does this, who is the one other connection between all these victims. I felt like an idiot for not thinking of it. It's just that she seemed like such a nice person. I thought Rachel Meyer did a good job. And then the reason she's doing it is because she's jealous of these other girls because she's a sister who is in love with her brother and wants an incestual relationship, which he does not. I thought that was not something that just thrust into certain movies and then not in a weird way is not even important to the plot. Like what was that movie Creature from 2011 I saw. The fact that this is the culmination, this is part of the reason she's fucked up, is because her brother saved her, and her parents died, and then maybe before that she was in love with him, but that made her fall in love with him even more. And the girls she was killing, she can go back as well. She can do the same thing as him. So okay, it must be like so Luke Leia, they both have the Force. So it's like she can go back in time like he can, and she saw potential girlfriends he had, so she went back in time to kill them to change his future so that he could stay with her. I thought, wow, that's a really fucked up, but made sense for a fucked up individual. Like I said, I thought, okay, it's a weird, interesting plot. And then, as he's got this bear trap and he doesn't know what to do, he goes back, and he has heavy spores to the fire, saves his parents, and lets fate play how it was. Because originally her sister died, so in order to fix things and have all these people be alive, because people are like, well, why doesn't he save the sister as well? Because that could make things way worse, and it even said in dialogue, you can't go back to the same spot too much, otherwise your brain fries. And his brain was getting fried as is. So there was a good chance he only had one opportunity to go back to this spot. And that there might not have been a second shot. And if this is how fate played it, I gotta do this. Because this all started really with him going back to save his sister in the first place. So if I don't do that, and then lo and behold, he's with his girlfriend Elizabeth, they got a daughter, his parents are alive, his buddy, his mentor's alive. Now, what I don't like, I don't know why they added this in, is everything's fine, they're at a barbecue, but then the daughter, like, throws a doll on a barbecue and sees it burn, like it's a evil kid. I don't know why they add that into it. I thought that was stupid. I thought, are they trying to think of maybe another sequel, which never happened? I don't think that was needed. I think that would be excluded. I think that kind of leaves a little bit of a tarnish on the ending. And I went, that's pretty lame. That's pretty stupid. What, are we supposed to think that's the sister as well? Or just she has the power and she'll be crazy as well? Or If you're female in the family, you're a crazy bitch. I don't know what the reason for that ending. I thought it was really stupid. Whether you to blame the writer Holly Bricks or the director Seth Grossman, I would exclude that little bit from the ending. Just edit that out. Also, I don't care for like this hip hop song. It's very out of place. They play it early in the film, but it's at the end credits. It's a hip hop song that does nothing about this movie is hip hop. It's completely inappropriate because it just does not fit at all. That would be like if, I don't know, if Signs ended with Explorativity, soon away, you know, they stop the aliens. And then the end credits start, and you know, first we're gonna rock, first we're gonna roll, don't let it go, Explorativity. Or imagine Rocky 4 ended with, okay, Rocky 4 ends with Ice-T's body count in the house, body count in the house, body count. I'm just thinking, like, what other crazy songs? Imagine if, I don't know, The Golden Child with Eddie Murphy ended with a song from Judgment Night. You're just another victim, kid. You're just another victim. You're like, what the fuck? I just that I don't remember the name of the song, but it didn't fucking fit. So I do have nitpicks with it. But again, for the general gist of the story, Chris Carmack, Rachel Miner's performances, the not being a remake of the first, being its own film, telling its own story, being more of an investigation murder mystery story, I thought that was a neat take on it, and much better than it had any right to be. Again, 8 films to die for, After Dark Horrorfest. Okay, After Dark Horrorfest, these are the type of films he had. 2006, 2007, 2008, 2010, 2015. I mean, you had films like The Abandoned, or Penny Dreadful, or get back to it. What other films did they have in this? Fucking Mulberry Street. And I lied, there are a couple others that I did not mind. Like I said, Butterfly Effect 3 was one. This one, was it After Dark Horror Fest? Let me see. Was Lake Mungo one of this? Okay, I like that one too, so that's 3. Lake Mungo is a really good one. But then you have Zombies on Mass Destruction. I think Frontiers, that was one I didn't mind. So, okay, technically there's 4. There's 4 films I didn't mind. Josephine Stone's my favorite. No, Lake Mungo I really enjoyed as well. But, no, Josephine Stone would be my favorite, then Lake Mungo, then this. Frontiers I didn't mind, but that'd be a distant 4. But those, of this, I would say, again, those are the ones to watch. The others, Retail, fucking, I mean, when the movies keep, the titles start becoming, title, Voices, Dread, The Final, Hidden. How about Stop? Could that be one? Just called Stop? But, yeah. Butterfly Effect 3, and my stomach, I guess, agrees with me. Shut up, stomach. My stomach, I just gave a seal of approval. Went, yes. Trying to be like Lurch from Addams Family. Yes, you reign. Yes, Lurch. Not a bad film. Not a bad film at all, in my opinion. So, pretty decent. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care. We'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.